I have a really cool job. I get to go search out historical records and help get them online. Today we are in London, England, and I am at St. Paul's Shepney Church, which is the location actually where Thomas Jefferson's mother was baptized. I'm here specifically in this area of London because I am in pursuit of my ancestor Henry Collins, who left this part of London in 1635. So his story doesn't start at this church. I'm at this church because Thomas Jefferson's mom was baptized here. But his story does include the road that we're on, which is, during his time, was referred to as Ratcliffe Highway. And he lives somewhere along this stretch of road in London. The headstones in the cemetery behind me are actually larger than I am.
Max asked me to record this voiceover because the sound quality wasn't very good on the day we hit the streets of London. It was a pretty busy place. Also, I think Max sometimes just likes telling me what to do and giving me a bunch of extra work, so thanks a lot, Max. Just kidding. I was so excited at the time, you probably would have just heard squeals out of me anyway, so a voiceover is probably not a bad idea. My colleague and fellow genealogist, Stephen, took me on a tour of the area of Ratcliffe Highway, the area in which my ancestor once lived. Although starting at St. Paul's was really an interesting American connection, I soon realized that everywhere I looked, I was surrounded by my British heritage. Together, we walked along the Ratcliffe Highway towards the historic hamlet of Ratcliffe, which was the main hamlet of the parish of Stepney. Now, I thought we were in for a nice afternoon stroll, but Stephen had a few surprises in hand for me, and I'll be forever grateful for him for that. He showed me a set of stairs, where there would have been stairs in 1635 when Henry Collins also needed to access the River Thames. He showed me roads that would have been there in Henry Collins' era. So it really was quite an experience. My ancestor, Henry Collins, would likely have walked to this highway to get to his parish church, St. Dunstan and All Saints in Stepney, which is our final destination for this afternoon's little adventure. Before entering the church grounds, we stopped off at the former site of the Stepney Meeting Burial Ground almhouses and school. Some of the headstones were taller than I am. Now, I'll admit I'm not even quite average height for a woman in this day and age, but it was still a very interesting stop to make. Gave us a little bit of perspective of the works of the parish beyond just the church itself, but also it was interesting from a genealogical perspective to see the headstones, to get a feel for what was important to them in that era. Now, most of these headstones were not the same time frame as when Henry Collins was in London, but it was still a good little history lesson. An experience like this really puts the emotion we see on shows like Who Do You Think You Are and Genealogy Roadshow into perspective, because you've really no idea what it feels like to walk in your ancestors' shoes until you actually go and do it for yourself. Personally, this experience was incredibly powerful. It was a reminder of my heritage. It was a reminder of where I know my family to have started and to have been 300 years ago. It was incredibly potent to know that I was likely the first one in my family to come back after such a long gap. Throughout the experience, even as excited as I was, I really had to stop and continuously remind myself to slow down and savor every moment, take in deep breaths, and really just embrace the entire afternoon. It was much more than just taking a walk down a street and ending up at a church. It was a life-changing experience. It's one I'll never forget. The sound quality was much better in that quiet church ground, so over to me.
So I have just walked about a mile from a point on Ratcliffe Highway, what was known as Ratcliffe Highway, and I'm now at St. Dunstan's Parish Church in Stepney. So essentially, the road grid is still the same today as it was in 1635. So I've essentially just walked in my ancestors' footsteps, and I've arrived at their church, and I'm about to enter into the church and actually sit in on a service. It's been over 300 years since my family has walked those steps, that I know of at least. And I'm a little giggly It's a moment that I've been waiting for a really long time, since I was about 10 years old. So it's quite emotional, actually, but it's very powerful. And even though it doesn't look anything like it did when he was here, just knowing that I'm here and he was here, and what has happened in between to get me back to this point is just, it's just very powerful. It's hard to explain, really. I'm feeling quite overwhelmed, actually. It's a sense of pride, because I've done this research for so long. I've been looking for these people since I was about 10 years old, trying to understand what my family's journey was like and where we came from. And this is literally the spot where we came from, right here. He had to come to this parish to get permission to come to America, to come to the New World. So he was here on these grounds, talking, walking these halls, being in this space. It's quite overwhelming, but it's something I'm trying to soak in. I'm trying to remember the birds chirping and the noise from the street, but the temperature and what it feels like to be here, so I can bring that home to my family and share that experience. It's quite a lot, but it's all of your senses in one place, just soaking it up. As an American genealogist, many of us have this objective of trying to trace the family across the pond, and if you get the chance to come over here and retrace their steps, even though it's a completely different environment, it's absolutely worth it. It's worth it to do it with someone who's knowledgeable, someone who knows the area. It's worth it to do your homework and figure out what you're going to see and what that route is. But it's a feeling you can't duplicate any other way. There's only one way to walk in their footsteps, right? And that's to actually make the journey and come over and do that. So whether it's downtown London and very modern city buildings, or it's the Irish countryside, wherever your family comes from, it's worth it to get back over to the United Kingdom. Absolutely recommend that people do this if you ever get the opportunity. To come over to where your ancestors first originated from, where they came from, where they lived, to see the environment that they experienced. It's like nothing you can duplicate. You can see their names on a black and white piece of paper, but to see an original document, or to see the parish or the church that they were from, there's nothing like that in the world. So whether it's walking through downtown London, even though it's a modern landscape, you're still getting the sense of where they were and what they experienced. It's the Irish countryside. It may be rolling hills, but you still know that their eyes looked upon that same spot.
While filming, a friendly local parishioner named Ryan stopped to introduce himself. He was actually on his way into the parish for the evening service. He kindly shared some of the things he knew about the history of the church.
So you were, your family's from here?
Yes, my family was here last year in 1635. This is where they immigrated from.
Immigrated from?
Yeah.
Wow. From where?
Well, they lived here and they went to the colonies. They were in Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, this church actually got built in 953. As the original foundation of the church was in 953.
It's amazing.
If you look at the actual church itself, the actual middle piece of the church was originally built, and it was originally a wooden shack in the beginning with, and they eventually built it from there. But eventually then you put the two side pieces on, and from this side on the other side, which is now where we have meetings and stuff in the back.
Right.
But the original actual main walk path and actual bricks you can see in the back. Right in the very back of the altar you see a stamp on 953. Unfortunately the windows aren't the same. The windows are got blown out, of course, in the war.
Oh, sure.
With the Blitz and whatnot, but they got redone. The workers union from the docks, they all sponsored it because this was a local community church from the war.
Yeah.
And all these buildings around here used to be all used to be farmland. And if you go down this road down here at the back there, used to be out the old rectory. And there's,
really?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you walk down here and turn right, there's another graveyard in the back there.
Yes, we were there. Yes.
You were there?
Yeah.
Well, if you just say that old building in the back of the roundabout there, this all used to be land. And that used to be the old rectory where they used to stay, and they used to walk over here to the church.
Yeah.
And that's how they walk. Imagine all the people that used to walk down these paths.
Yeah, that's so that's what I've actually done this afternoon, is kind of retrace the
steps.
footsteps.
Yes,
exactly.
which is really amazing because you walk the same steps as what people have done, lords and ladies and everything. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah. So it's great to meet you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. So what's your name?
My name is Ryan Marnie.
And you live here?
Yes, I live just right across up the road a bit, but no, I actually live in the old rectory is where I actually live.
Do you really?
Yes.
And this is your church?
This is the church. I come here every Wednesdays and Sundays, yes.
It's fantastic. So nice to meet you,
And you too,
Ryan.
ma'am.
Thank
Have a marvelous
you so
blessed day.
much.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Throughout the hour or so that we'd been on this little adventure of ours, the rush of emotions that had been building up inside of me was really getting to the brimming point. I kept thinking to myself, this can't get any better. This has been so incredible. And I soon found myself, of course, at the steps of the church, ready to open that door and walk through into this building that for many is just a church, but for me is in some way kind of the pinnacle of my family history experience. This is, as far as I know, the earliest recorded presence of my family. This is the place for me. So it was just an incredible thing to walk through those doors.